Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 103. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Today, I got with me TJ. What's up, buddy?
Hey Ryan, how's it going?
Oh, not bad. So it's just you and me in the house tonight. Everyone else kind of bailed. I think it's because I might have this episode's, I wouldn't call it filler, but it's just kind of more generic products. Whereas next week is where everyone's excited, and we're gonna have a much better turnout for next week's show.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a good roundtable for next week, aren't we?
Yes, we are. So, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast right now, I encourage you to listen to the whole thing all the way through and not just disregard it, because what I'm about to describe to you for episode 104 is going to be probably sound much more awesome and interesting than possibly some of the more miscellaneous things that we got to talk about today. But nonetheless, next week is going to be a SHF or TF when stuff hitting the fan episode, where instead of me picking all the products and making all my lackeys, co-hosts, like discuss them, what I'm doing is I'm opening it up to a true roundtable style, to where, okay, it's the apocalypse, it's end of civil law, societal collapse, zombie apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. You get to pick two items, one gun and one gear, to take with you to, survive, thrive, whether you're going to go the nomadic route and scavenge, or whether you're going to go the, homesteader route and just set up a little camp and keep things running and keep things protected. So you get to pick one gun, you get to pick one gear, and I guess we're not really taking into like ammo availability and stuff into account. But I've asked the guys to be practical and not be like, I want an A10 Warthog and a Sherman tank and a Vulcan 20 millimeter minigun. It's going to be all practical stuff that you could buy yourself today. It's not imaginary or fantasy. So it should be pretty interesting to see how each one of us differs in what we choose.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that show.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. So getting into announcements for this week, bandwidth sponsor for this podcast is Patriot Patch Co. PatriotPatch.co is the website for the awesome patch company that myself and Jacob Challand have. So we've got some cool patches available. We have shipped out the first pre-order run for the Omnio Huckleberry patches. And we're looking at samples, and we've got some orders coming for the bullet bill patches and all the other cool patches that were out there. We're going to come out with a cool Christmas bundle. So you're going to get a bunch of these legacy patches and a new exclusive Christmas themed one. So stay tuned for that announcement. We also got some sweet shirts that we've been adding. I've been like a madman just pumping out these shirt designs in the last couple of weeks. So we added Celebrate Diversity, so that's got a bunch of cool different calibers on there. We've got rails, lasers, Niet, rifle is fine, showing the classic AK in its bone stock configuration. As well as we've got some new pre-orders up. We got Gun Guy and Gun Girl that has just some 9mm brass falling. And then we have the Modern Musket, which is a white t-shirt that's just got an AR-15. Kind of a nice A2 style with a 20-inch barrel and an A2 carry handle. We got some really cool shirts in the works as well, so check them out at patriotpatch.co/shirts, and you'll be able to see all those, and some probably going to have some new ones here by the end of the month up on the website too. So next, guests are always welcome on the show. If you'd like to join us on this podcast, just send myself an email at cross@firearmsradio.tv or podcast@firearmsradio.tv or firearms. Hold on, I always get that confused. Podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or cross@firearmsradio.tv. There you go. If you're shopping for some Kydex holsters and you're looking to get a little bit of a deal, Bravo Concealment's got some nice inside the waistband and outside the waistband stuff, including mag pouches. There's a promo code they gave us to get 10% off your order. You just got to do RTT Combo 10 is the promo code, and that should be up indefinitely. So if you guys are shopping for some quality Kydex gear, check out Bravo Concealment. We're also doing a user giveaway. The deadline is this Halloween, so October 31st. It's a Surefire Pro Comp 5.56 muzzle brake. It's a 2-chamber muzzle brake. It'd do well in competition. It's going to be a little bit loud on the bench as far as the person right next to you, but they're really decent brakes. So all you got to do is leave us an iTunes review, copy it, or take a screenshot of it and paste it on the Firearms Insider Facebook page. Then you also have to like the Facebook page. So the deadline for that is October 31st. I'll assign everyone a number, do a random selection type of thing, and then pick the winner. One more announcement real quick. We have some listener feedback. I'm actually going to mention that now at the head of the show as opposed to the end of the show. Back when we did the suppressor episode, the suppressor special, episode 100, Amtac suppressors actually heard the podcast and sent me a nice little email. So this is from Adam Reiser, their marketing director. It says, hey guys, I stumbled across the Gun and Gear Review podcast and heard you guys talking about the Amtac CQB series. I just wanted to thank you for including it in the discussion. I also wanted to share a bit of information and answer a couple of questions that I heard you guys asking amongst yourselves. We had a lot of questions about why we don't do a QD version of the over-the-barrel suppressor. The reason we don't do it is because the over-the-barrel chamber lines up the mounting threads, and you can just slide it down and spin the suppressor into place. We made a quick teaser video to demonstrate what he's talking about, and I've included the link in the show notes. He said, you guys also mentioned that the largest diameter barrel you can mount the CQB suppressor is 3/4 inches. He said it's true, but they also recently came out with the Sniper series, which is essentially the CQB, but with a larger overbore chamber. It comes back over your barrel 6 inches, and it works with barrels up to 0.95 inches. So if you've got a real stout bull barrel, it will be able to fit over that. We also make an end mount suppressor called the SBR that works pretty much with any rifle. It uses the same single piece baffle structure as our other suppressors, just in a longer version, and is extremely quiet. Thanks again for including us in your podcast. Let me know if you have any questions. So I just want to give a shout out to Adam Reiser. Thanks for listening to the podcast and sending us that little bit of feedback. It's kind of cool because suppressors, I mean, TJ, we've been texting a lot back and forth on barrel lengths and, suppressor plans and how much the overall barrel length is going to end up once you put the can on there. And that's kind of a big factor. You don't want a, 18-inch barrel with a 9-inch can hanging off the end because you feel like I'm better off having a Mosin Nagant at this point because it feels that long.
Yep.
So, even when it comes down to, I get an 8.5-inch barrel or 10-inch barrel? Do I get this suppressor? Do I get this longer one? It's kind of cool that there's actually a suppressor that kind of negatively or subtracts inches from your overall length, if you think about it. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was glad that I spotted that in Recoil magazine and thought enough to put it on the show.
Yeah, they are pretty neat. So I think we'll do is throw some more links in the show notes in that feedback, so that way people can quickly go see what they're talking about with the Sniper series. I'll link that in there.
Yep. So let's get into the product spotlights for this episode. First up, we got a kind of interesting air pistol from Gammo. Gammo makes a lot of BB guns and pellet guns. This is the C15 Bone Collector Edition blowback pistol. So the C15's been around for a little bit, but they just kind of came out with this limited edition Bone Collector. It's a semi-automatic blowback pistol. The unique thing about it is that it can shoot pellets and steel BBs, and it uses an 8x2 double magazine. so it can hold 16 shots. And fire rate, you can probably squeeze them off, and it says 2.4 seconds. So kind of a fun little pistol.
Yeah, this thing's kind of neat. Usually with these automatic BB guns, I guess they usually don't handle pellets. Usually those are just kind of revolvers or the break action rifles versus these automatic handguns. And this one's actually got I think it's got a blowback action, so it's kind of got a little more realism to it, I guess, with the slide reciprocating with each shot. And it looks to be hammer fired. I'm not entirely sure if it actually is a working hammer or not, but I know I have one of the licensed Smith & Wesson. I don't even know who makes it. It's a licensed from Smith & Wesson, but I don't know the manufacturer of it. But it's got a really... Oh, it's Umarex. So Walther Umarex, that whole corporation. But it's got a really long, heavy trigger pull. And I'm thinking maybe if this thing actually is hammer fired, might have a little better trigger pull rather than this kind of funky double action. I don't know. But it's actually pretty neat. You know, I've never shot pellets out of a handgun like this, and I don't know whether or not it's 450 feet per second. So I think that's got to be enough to take some small game if it's accurate enough.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking, squirrels and some kind of small birds that are legal, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean,
that's all I'm talking about.
To me, that would just be like target practice, really.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't try and do any serious small game hunting with it. But if you're in your deer stand, and those squirrels are really getting to you, you could have a heyday with this thing.
Yeah, I'd imagine you could probably put some good pellets in there, except that it seems to have a smooth bore, so I don't know, how kind of a distance accurate it would be. They're claiming 1/4 inch groups at 10 yards, so I guess you just have to fire it and see.
Yeah. So it's of course uses the CO2 cartridges. You get about 80 shots per cartridge. The trigger, like we said, it's got double single action. It's got that hammer spur on there. The trigger pull weights, it's interesting. The double action is 9.46 pounds, and the single action you would think would be a lot lighter, but it's actually 9.24 pounds.
Yeah, so it's barely lighter.
Yeah, barely. It's pretty negligible.
Yeah, at 9 pounds, it's pretty negligible. The half ounce, 1/4 ounce even, or 1/4 pound.
Yeah.
I mean. So, yeah, I guess it is still pretty heavy, but I mean, it seems like some revolvers are even more than that. So, I imagine it's heavy if you're a Glock guy. It's light if you're a double action revolver guy.
So it's got a weight of 1.5 pounds, and looks like it's about 10 inches long. So the caliber is 177. So that's most BBs and pellets. So the MSRP is $118.95. But there's a combo going on right now on Gammo USA where you can get this pistol plus some Gammo bone collector pellets, free shipping for $99.99. So it's a good bit of savings there if you really want to get this pistol in time for Christmas for a loved one. You'll be able to get it plus some ammo at a lower price than just the gun itself. So I would jump on that deal if you're thinking about it, especially for a Christmas gift while you still can.
Yep, not a bad deal.
Yep. So I mean, what pistol would you like? What actual firearm would you kind of say that emulates closest?
I was just thinking about that, and I really, honestly, couldn't even tell. It's kind of...
I mean, if I cover up like the back half, the front kind of looks like a Glock.
Yeah.
Except when you get to the trigger guard, and then when I cover up the front half, I'm almost seeing like a Walter on the back.
Yeah, it's kind of like trigger guards, kind of HK-ish. The front of the slides kind of Glock-ish. The back of the slides kind of Walther-ish, and the grips just kind of whatever the designer felt like doing. I guess so. Maybe more like I don't know, like a Beretta kind of Storm along those lines. It's kind of got that futury look to it, I guess you could say. Just as kind of, I don't know. And then it's got like a giant, FN like base pad on the bottom of the magazine. So I think it's just kind of whatever the designer liked. They just kind of put in a few different. It's not bad looking, but definitely wasn't completely inspired by any one gun.
Right. And it does have an accessory rail, just like an actual polymer pistol that you're familiar with. So, if you wanted to put some kind of laser or light on there for any, nighttime squirrel hunting, you could do that.
Now, I'm really curious about this 8x2 dual magazine. Is their exact wording? I'm not entirely sure what that means. If they're just trying to fancy up double stack magazine, because I know this Smith & Wesson that I have, I'm pretty sure it holds more than 16, and it's kind of like a double, like we would think when we think of a double stack pistol magazine. So just kind of curious wording. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I just Googled it, and I think it just looks like a regular double stack magazine, honestly.
Okay.
So cool. So next up, we got something new from Magpul. Go figure. It seems like, if you're really looking, I'm checking their Facebook almost every day, and I know you guys are going to ridicule me for that, but I'm waiting for them to say something about, the rest of the Hunter 700 stuff, the magazine conversion, drop metal kit, bottom metal kit is supposedly like a month out. So they released, I think September 10th, the black Hunter 700 stock. Still waiting on the Flat Dark Earth, which is the one I ordered. I called DSG Arms, who's they're the online retailer or dealer that I pre-ordered from, and they have no idea when they're getting it in. So I was kind of like,
yeah, to be different and get that FDE.
I'm getting a little panicky. I'm like, should I have pre-ordered from Cabela's? Should I like pull my pre-order and pre-order elsewhere? Like trying to calm myself down.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm checking their stuff, and every week it seems like they release something new that's got nothing to do with what I care about, or at least it's nothing to do with the 700 stock, which seems to be what most people are saying. Hey, this doesn't look like a 700 stock. How come? I don't need to see, new tactical, like baseball hats, you guys. But this week they actually released something that was kind of cool that I wanted to make sure I mentioned on the show. This is the enhanced AR magazine release. So just like the Magpul Bad Lover kind of mounted onto your bolt release and gave you a nice extra, kind of a bigger paddle, but also, it gave you that nice little dog leg that kind of hung out in front of your trigger. This looks like it bolts on to your magazine release. It's like the bullet button's big brother that's not a buzzkill. Like, this is actually a good thing.
Cool,
it's this cooler big brother. I've never had a problem getting to the mag release button on the AR-15, but having it a little bit larger, I guess, doesn't hurt either to make it more tactile, especially if you're wearing gloves or if you're really like reloading under duress. You want to drop that mag and not struggle with finding the button. This would increase the surface area on there.
Yeah, it looks like it about doubles the size of the magazine release, which has got to be helpful if you're, like you said, high stress. And one thing I was kind of thinking, Magpul, I automatically think plastic stuff, but this is actually a machine from anodized aluminum, which is really good. So you don't have to worry about it flexing because it kind of overhangs. Like if you're familiar with some of the Glock extended mag releases, how they just kind of overhang the grip a little bit to where this is kind of similar. It's just hanging off of the mag release, I guess you could say. So it's good that it's aluminum, so it's not flexing if you hit it funny and break it off or bind it up or something like that.
Yeah. The only thing I'm possibly concerned with is I'm looking at this main picture they've got on their website, and it looks like it adds some height to the button to maybe where, I don't know, I can't tell from this angle, but if it's protruding past the receiver, whether it's going to be a danger if you like set it down on a flat surface hard enough or bump up against something, if it's going to be more prone to unintentionally drop your magazine when you don't want it to, because it sticks out and it's a little bit more pronounced. Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think it looks low profile enough?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does look a little, like you said, a little bit higher than the standard one. So I guess it could be an issue. I guess the one picture they have though is just kind of a odd angle, so it might not be able to see.
Yeah.
It might be flush with that kind of raised rib, and it's just kind of an odd angle. Plus, it looks like a Knight's Armament SR. What is it, SR-15?
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely has some extra machining and stuff on it that we're not used to seeing. So it may be kind of a trick of the eye, or just a kind of unique setup to where we just kind of it might work a little better on a standard platform, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, it's kind of wedge shaped, so as the wedge part is facing you, and as it gets closer to you, it's getting smaller and smaller, and it's got some nice vertical serrations on there. So as much of a connection Magpul has with the training world and the training industry, I know there's some safety Nazis out there that are paranoid about just useless modifications that end up endangering you rather than helping. So I like to think that they've thought that out in the design phase, and so it's not going to be as obtrusive as what I'm speculating from just the photo that I'm seeing here.
Yeah, like I said, it could be the angle just throwing it off. So it'd be kind of interesting. I mean, $20, it's not a big risk to try it out, and if you don't like it, you can toss it out or try to sell it or give it to somebody or something like that. So
yeah, I mean, $19.95, probably find it in the store for maybe $16.99 or something like that. If I usually go by like Sportsman's Warehouse, and I pass by the Magpul aisle like every time. I swear I'm inviting the harassment with the fanboy stuff. But if I saw this on the shelf when it comes out, I'll probably end up picking one up, because I've got an AR with the bad lever, and I like it a lot. And this would kind of complete the enhanced battery and magazine controls, I guess.
Now I'm just kind of curious, looking up similar products, and I see one by Odinworks and a couple more that are pretty similar like this. Like they kind of protrude off of toward the shooter, I guess you could say, like add that little paddle towards you. So I guess it's a kind of common ideology. I guess it just depends on how exactly they put it into practice. But I imagine, like you said, Magpul does their research, so I'm sure they probably made a pretty good product.
And they're getting more into this machining thing with metals. I'm very interested to see what other big products that come out within the future. So next up, we got something from Tactical Walls. This is a smaller mirror. It's called the concealment mirror. So it's going to be a little bit more affordable, and you don't have to necessarily make as big of a hole in your drywall as the larger full-length mirrors. So this is the 1410M bundle. I don't know why they named them that. So it's the concealment cover. It's handmade in the United States, includes their 1410 insert, perfect for up to 2 handguns and a flashlight. It's got magnets to help organize your goods, and a cover to hide and protect it all. So it does use the magnetic key to unlock it. So that it kind of slides. The mirror and the top shelf kind of slide upwards, revealing all your goodies inside. It's available in a few different colors. So you got the insert color, you've got the finish color, and you've got the cover color, which is kind of nice. So The inserts can be black, carbon fiber, or kind of, they call it distressed barnwood, which is kind of, I would call more like, old fiberglass is what it looks like. The exterior finish, so what would be like the wood, they've got an early American, Dutch walnut, cherry, black, white, and raw. And then the cover would be, I guess, instead of a mirror, you can choose to have it be a whiteboard, a chalkboard, a canvas with some kind of custom print. They've got a nice picture of a beach scene, a church scene, a farm. These look like wallpapers from like Windows XP. Canvas, Glacier Lake, and Smoky Mountain. So if you don't want a mirror, if you're not the vain type, you could always have this made with a picture inside instead of a mirror. I think that's kind of, to me, a little bit more suspicious than the actual mirror part, because what picture frame has a kind of a top shelf like that?
Yeah, I think the whiteboard or mirror would be more convincing, because kind of whiteboards tend to, sometimes they can be a little bulky because they kind of look like they might open up, to store markers and stuff like that. And I don't know, do you have to cut into your drywall and inset this one like you do with the larger size?
It looks like you do, because of the dimensions and the wall insert, but it's just a much smaller hole that you're going to be making.
Right, because one thing I'm always kind of curious about these is how far it's going to stick off of the wall. Because if you have a mirror that's 4 inches thick for seemingly no reason, it's going to raise suspicion in my mind. But I think Tactical Walls tries to alleviate that, I guess, by doing that inset. But of course, you have to semi-permanently alter your wall. But yeah, it's pretty neat design, though. One thing Ryan didn't mention with the cover color, I guess you could say. The cover, you could buy the mirror, I guess is the standard package, and then the whiteboard and the chalkboard are $30 extra, and then all of the canvases, like the beach and the church and lake and all that kind of stuff, those are $70 additional. But if you want to have a custom printed one of whatever picture you happen to have you want printed on this canvas, that'll be an extra $110.
Holy smokes, you're better off going to Kinko's.
Yeah, I imagine you could probably work something up. Just order the standard mirror and try to put something over it, maybe.
Yeah, so we're looking at a base price of $260, but Brownells does have it for less. So oddly enough, I did find it on Brownells for $244.99. I thought I put the affiliate link in there, but that's just taking me to Brownells homepage. So I'll need to make sure that that's in there correct for you guys. But it did look like Brownells carried it. I'm not sure you're going to get as much customization options as from buying it directly from Tactical Wall, but we'll check up on that for you. So yeah, very cool. It's kind of funny, the whiteboard one, they have their grocery list. So it says eggs, milk, 9mm, 45 ACP, and then TP for toilet paper.
Nice.
So that's kind of funny.
I like that.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm looking up Brownells. Let me see if I can find that exact model.
Yeah.
The
inserts are, it's kind of nice to be able to pick the different colors and choose your scheme. That carbon fiber looks pretty slick, but technically you're going to be the only one that's actually seeing the inside inserts. So you're not going to thwart the robber anymore by altering the color of that insert.
Yeah, so now it looks like on Brownells, the only option for the cover you have is the mirror, and they are calling it the concealment mirror, so I guess that would make sense. But they do offer black, Dutch walnut, and cherry. So 3 of the 4 or 5 exterior colors.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you most of the general options. So with that black, you got a cherry, which is kind of a redwood, and then the Dutch walnut, which is a browner wood. I guess the early American and the raw being really light. I guess the Brownells just decided not to carry them because they're kind of lighter woods, and a lot of people don't go for that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you got a more modern setup, you're putting a hole in the drywall and you don't want your wife to be all mad that you're putting something gaudy in her room, get the black one. It might tie in with more rooms. If you've got more of a nice rustic, go with the Dutch walnut for sure.
Yeah, they all look good. So
yeah, and when you buy these, there's lots of detailed instructions. Putting a hole in your drywall, is a kind of a intimidating task, but they certainly make it easier by they give you basically a template that you hold up to the wall. You get your stud finder, you find the hole between the two studs, and you hold up this template and you kind of drill through it, or to mark your cutting spots and your mounting spots. So they make it a lot easier for you in the long run. So you don't have to feel like you're on your own, or you need to hire a contractor. Get your brother-in-law over here to help you out, because I think you'd be able to do it on your own if you had some kind of sawzall, or I guess what's the saw that I'm thinking of? Jigsaw.
yeah,
would probably work too.
yeah. You can even drywall is pretty easy to cut. You can cut it with a simple sharp hand saw. Probably better to do it that way, so you don't.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I would personally recommend using a handsaw so that sawzall doesn't go crazy on you and cut a big slash going up, and then you got to repair it.
Yeah, things can go south real quick with a sawzall. So the website for that is tacticalwalls.com. I got the link in the show notes too.
Cool.
So next up, we got a handguard, which I thought was really cool, and I'm kicking myself for not getting this. I just put a bunch of money into my Glock 9mm. It was a pistol from Lone Wolf. I'm having an SBR'd for me, super secret style. Rainier Arms has really helped me out a lot. And I wanted a longer handguard because I plan on putting a suppressor on it, and the suppressor I got, it was half the price of everything else, but it was a couple inches longer than all the competition. So my thought was, if it's a longer suppressor, but I've got a 10.5-inch barrel, so I should probably get a longer handguard, and I get that nice overlap. That's nice and sexy. Well, so I got the Fortis Rev 2 14, which is actually more like it's just shy of 15 inches. But I did not think about how much I'll possibly be removing my suppressor from the rifle and replacing it with a kind of a longer flash hider, so it kind of comes out to the end of the handguard when I'm not using the suppressor on the SBR, using the can on a pistol, for instance. So I picked the Rev 2 because I was just kind of, in a rush, and it looked attractive, and I wanted M-Lock, which they had. But I kind of overlooked this other handguard design by Fortis, which is actually pretty cool if you're kind of dealing with a similar rifle situation that I am. So this is called the Switch series. They make several different models. So we've got the Switch 5.56 in 12, 14. They've got it in 308, so it's of course a bigger diameter, in 12 and 14 and 15. And then that comes with its own barrel nut that looks really easy to use. So originally it came out, they released this for 308 pattern rifles, but after hearing lots of requests, they decided to make it for the AR-15, for the smaller of the two, AR-10 versus AR-15. So the Fortis Switch is a lightweight, robust handguard. It's free float system, but it's easy to install, but very quick and easy to take it off so that you can change rails or remove muzzle devices that your handguard would get in the way. So what it's got a basically a lever on the bottom side that you just kind of press and swing outwards, and that relieves tension on the barrel nut, and then you can just slide this thing right off. So you really don't need any tools to remove it. And I'm kicking myself for not getting it because I'm thinking about how many times I'm going to be like, okay, putting the suppressor back onto the threads, kind of having my rifle facing straight up and, sliding my suppressor down into the handguard, finding the threads and turning. That's easy enough to do with the handguard on, but taking my suppressor off, putting it on a pistol, and then obviously I don't want to be putting my hand in front of the muzzle on the handguard because I'll probably burn my hands if I don't have that extended flash hider to bring the muzzle length out farther. It's an SBR, so all the legal stuff I'm not even worrying about anymore. But getting that flash hider installed is going to be tricky without removing the handguard all the way to access that. So I didn't really think about that too much. You can't really get your fingers inside the handguard and turn and get that muzzle, that flash hider to tighten down really well. It's got 360-degree slots on the end, so there's not really any need for an index. So you don't need that crush washer or peel washer or anything. So that's a relief. So I don't have to really torque it down that much, but it'd be a lot less troublesome for me if I could just pull the handguard off easily and swap that stuff out and then slide it back on. That's what you're going to be able to do with the Switch, not so much with a different handguard, like the Rev that I got. So my loss is your guys' gain because I now know about it and I'm letting you know about it. So if you got any builds in the future that will require some hands-on maintenance, maybe you've got a gas block system that's, a little bit harder to access and you want to be able to take off the handguard, adjust your gas system and put it back on within a minute or a minute and a half, you'd be able to do that with the Switch. So
yeah, I've got a pretty good bet that if you troll around Gunbroker or maybe the Washington Gun Trader Classifieds, you might be seeing a standard one for sale on the in the near future for Brian over here because he's sounding like he's really wanting this new one.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I had them Cerakote it already. So it's going to be a stealth gray Fortis Rev 2 14, which is actually like 14.8 something. That's just shy of 15 inches. It might go on sale when I get the SBR finally, and I try it a couple times and I come to my senses, and then I'll buy the Switch from Rainier Arms and have them Cerakote it too. And see if I can't come up with the difference by selling the handguard, but.
Now it looks like
go ahead.
They offer a pretty big, I guess where the gas tube would normally go, the little relief in the top of it. It looks pretty big, so I'm kind of curious to whether or not it would fit in a piston system, and that's kind of where I could see this really being useful is if you have a piston or an adjustable gas block, you would be able to just. Because a lot of times you have an adjustable gas block, you have to make sure your rail is behind it so you can actually get to the adjustment. But if your rail is super easy to take off, you just pull this lever and take it off, then I can imagine you could have it past that gas block or piston and then just take the rail off if you need to. So that could be a really, really convenient use for that. Now I'm seeing, are they only offering the Switch in key mod right now?
And that's probably why I passed it up because I didn't want key mod. I wanted M-Lock.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I went with the Rev 2 because it was available in M-Lock.
Yeah, I'm sure M-Lock will be available, shortly.
Yeah. So Fortis does offer these in black and flat dark earth. So in all the different sizes, it looks like the 308 there's not a flat dark earth. So if you're going for FDE, you're going to want the 5.56, or else you're going to have it Cerakoted yourself. You could always order it from Rainier Arms because their online store is pretty comprehensive, and then you can have them Cerakote it and send it to you. That they're perfectly capable of doing that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Rainier seems to be pretty good about stuff like that. Those Cerakote stuff, or I think if you order a whole barrel set and stuff on them. You can have them pin and weld it in
Yeah.
your muzzle device if you need. So they seem to be pretty customer oriented over there.
Yep, they are. In fact, we didn't get to say what we did in guns, but this last was yesterday. I went to Rainier Arms to check in on my SBR, and actually, they were form boring it to me, so filling out the check and stuff for my tax stamp, and looking at the Cerakote handguard and making sure I liked it and stuff. But yeah, they're an awesome store. They've got a table right by the front door. That's kind of like their bargain bin. I mean, they're not much of really a bargain because the prices are still pretty high for, you'd be saving a few bucks here and there. For instance, last week I reviewed the Voltor Mod Pod, which is based on the Tango Down, some acronym, which is basically the same bipod unit, but it's combined together onto a base that fits under the rail, and it was like $200 something. They actually had it on their bargain table for like 170, 175. But they've got barrels on that table all the time that I don't know if they're factory seconds or whether they're just barrels that have been sitting in the inventory and they want to get rid of them. But they got blackout barrels, they got 5.56 barrels, they got 308 barrels in different sizes just sitting there, and so prices are not like screaming low like Gunbroker or something you found on Facebook, but it's still pretty nice to go in there, and you'd be awfully tempted to whip out that checkbook and pay for more than you came for.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to this. I think this would be really good for, like I said, SBR owners who need to access their shortened barrel that's inside the handguard more often. Whether they're threading something on, or if you want to really clean the front of the muzzle, the crown area of the rifle, you could be able to really access that easier since it's tucked inside this a longer handguard. I could have gone with the like the 12-inch, and I would have still had a little bit of overlap with the suppressor, but not much. Since it's a 10.5-inch barrel, I only would have had an 1.5 inch of overlap with the handguard, which I wouldn't have been too bad. And then I could have just used standard muzzle brakes and stuff that would have went past it. But I went with the 15. I don't make good, I guess technically the 14. But as far as MSRPs go, I'm sure you guys are waiting to hear that. The 5.56 12-inch is $240. If you want it in Cerakote flat dark earth, it's $280. So it looks like they just an extra $40, which is a really good deal for having something Cerakoted. The 14-inch is $260 and $300 if you want it Cerakoted flat dark earth. The 308 12-inch system is $260. The 14 is $280, and the 15 is $290. And the barrel nuts for each of those, which is included when you buy it. But if you needed a spare barrel nut for whatever reason, if you're swapping it between different guns, they're about $25 each.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed another thing too they have these QD mounts on the left and right side, in the close to the receiver and the close to the barrel end. So you have 4 different mounting points to mount a QD sling. So that's pretty convenient. You don't have to worry about clamping on another thing just to be able to attach your sling.
Yeah, Fortis does that with most of their rails. One other thing is if you're having it Cerakoted, eventually, that QD port is going to start to show some wear as that swivel is going back and forth. So I typically like to use, just for like the longevity of the finish. I mean, I hate to sound like a prima donna or make fun of me all you want, but I like to use rail mounted QD or sling attachments, so they can wear all they want, and I'm not going to really care. But the expensive handguard that I paid $250 or $300 to have Cerakoted, I'm going to want that to last a little bit longer.
You just need to embrace your wear marks, Ryan.
Yeah, embrace it. I'll never be able to breaks it. I'm not one of those guys that can just like take some rattle can, Krylon, and just spray their rifle and then like scrub it on the ground and kind of break it in. No, I like them looking good for my kids, man. I don't want to hand them some nasty, scratch up, dirty rifle and have them not care about it as much as I did. So the website for that is fortismfg.com. So that'd be Fortis Manufacturing. Got the link in the show notes. So now we're going to get on to the main topic, the review. And today I brought with me some knives. I've actually had these for a little over a month now, actually. And I've been wanting to do a review, but I'm actually starting to buy products and use them longer instead of like reviewing them that week or the week after. So trying to get at least like 3 weeks of use in before I review stuff. And actually the truth is I'm procrastinating, but that sounds a lot better, a lot more professional. So this week I'm reviewing the K-Bar TDI law enforcement knife, and I actually have two. I got this little guy, and then I got its bigger brother here. So these are cool knives. I got these at Sportsman's Warehouse. You can get these at a lot of sporting goods stores or just tactical shops. They're extremely popular because they are, kind of geared toward law enforcement. There's a lot of on-duty and off-duty law enforcement officers that have these on their belts or their gear. They're great, excellent self-defense knives because of the shape. So I'll just pull out this smaller one. This one does have a very small blade on there, a little stubby, but it's got this this curved angle to it. So when you hold it in your hand, it's got a nice relief cut for your index finger to kind of fit in there. I can stab, I can slash, I can punch with my fist. And I'm going to, hit them with the blade a little bit. But it's kind of interesting, the angle of it. If you're using this as a utility blade, which I have been doing for the most part, because I'm sorry, in the 3-4 weeks that I've had these, I haven't had the opportunity to stab anybody. My bad. I'll go buy some watermelons for you guys and try it out properly. But you using this as a utility knife is a little bit more interesting because you kind of lose a little bit of the leverage. So if you're pressing it down into a surface and dragging it backwards, you don't have as much leverage as a straight edge, a more inline knife design. So really, I think if you're looking for a knife that's going to do it all and be really good in a fight, close quarters type thing, you're going to want to go for something else. K-Bar obviously makes those awesome, almost iconic knives for military. That'd make a hell of a survival knife. This is kind of more of an urban assault type knife where you got this in the sheath that it comes with. This seems like a polymer injected sheath. It's just two halves that are clamped together or screwed together. So it goes inside. It is ambidextrous, so I can take this belt clip and very easily swap it over to the other side. So you could have it on either side of your belt. But ideally, you're going to want this if you're a right-handed shooter. We're talking EDC, everyday carry stuff. So if you're concealed carrying or open carrying, if you're a law enforcement officer, you're going to have your holster on your right or left side, depending on what hand you are. You're going to have this knife mounted on the opposite side. So the way when it's sitting on your belt, you can see the grip comes out at an angle. It's very easy to reach down and grab with your non-firing hand, your weak hand. So if somebody is, kind of up in your face and they reach for your gun, or you're reaching for your gun and they kind of grab onto your hand and you're kind of locked in that position, you're fighting them off with your left hand, obviously, but you can very quickly reach down to your belt, grab this knife and pull it straight out, and it's already in the striking position when you pull up. You don't have to twist your wrists or anything. So as soon as you reach down and grab that knife and pull straight out, you're already ready, set to start jabbing them, start slashing them, getting them away from you so that you could, dissuade them and then pull out your gun and get them, get the situation under control. I'm obviously not a cop, not pretending to be. So it's interesting that these knives are called the law enforcement knife, but they're so popular with just civilians because it makes a great EDC knife. So it does have a bigger brother. So it's odd. I bought these two different knives from two different manufacturers, or two different dealers. Sorry. So Brownells and Midway. So no, actually, I'm sorry. That's wrong. I bought this one locally at Sportsman's Warehouse, and I bought this one on Brownells, and they had like the same description. Now, I had no idea that they even made a larger knife. So actually, now that I'm remembering, I got this one first. I thought, holy crap, this thing is unwieldy. Like it's big. I wanted the smaller one. So I went to the local Sportsman's Warehouse, saw they had the smaller one, picked it up, and then just never took this one back because I thought it was pretty awesome. So the bigger one, there's a big difference between the blade lengths. So we're looking at 2 5/16 inch blade length for the smaller one, and then the larger one. I pull up the website so I make sure I give you guys all the right numbers. So if you go to K-Bar's website, they've got the TDI law enforcement knife section, and they've got not just these two styles. They've got the smaller one that's with a serrated blade. They've got they call the last ditch knife, and it has very much of a more triangular knife shape. They've got a half serration. They've got a full serration. I guess they call that a combo when it's half straight, half serrated. They've got more of a pry bar. They've got like a master key looking one. So the large law enforcement knife, which is this guy right here. So its MSRP is $72.50, and the holster, you can tell, is a bit different. Instead of you could still put this on your belt, but really these are molly straps. So these go on your tactical vest, your tactical belt. If you got like a gear duty belt, or if you got some kind of pack or just tactical vest, like our plate carrier, this would mount onto there. You can have it in a downward position or facing up, wherever you have it located on your vest. So the length of the blade is 7 inches or 7 9/16 inches for the longer. That's not right. That's overall length. That I had a ruler real handy. I could just give you the real blade lengths there. The smaller one, I'll hold them up in comparison, is obviously much smaller. See, Brownells has the smaller one listed with a blade length of, like I said, 2 5/16 inches. So I gotta say that larger one is a good almost 3.5 inches. But it's got a much longer handle, which if you've got a bigger hand is going to be much better. You can have enough to where it hangs down a little bit if you want to strike with the butt of that grip. But I like the longer one because the blade definitely seems a little bit stronger. It does have a thicker spine, so if you need to use it for any kind of prying or more aggressive use, it's going to hold up a little bit better. But obviously you lose the concealment because it's so big. This holster or sheath that it fits in is a little bit bigger. You can still use it all the same in that same purpose, but for going to the grocery store, you've got your concealed carry pistol, whether it's in your pocket or in a holster, and you've got this little short guy on your side. It's really for if someone's like in your personal bubble, kind of trying to grapple with you. You can easily reach down, grab this, and use it. You could invert it so where you're holding it kind of looks a little bit more traditional with the blade pointing up, and you can jab that way or slash, or you can hold it, I guess, upside down and use it that way. So they are made in Taiwan. The handle is made out of Zytel, which is some kind of composite. The grip on both of these is pretty negligible as far as the texture on there. So, I mean, I thought about maybe stippling them if I planned on keeping both of these, because it's really lacking in the grip department, and that kind of detracts from my overall score. But the both are made out of the Zytel. The blade is AUS 8A stainless steel, and it's got a nice black finish on there. It's kind of weird. The Brownell's link says this is made in the USA, but it says clearly that on the blade that it's made in Taiwan. So I'm not quite sure the discrepancy there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I would say, getting into my main review, the MSRP on the smaller one, let's see, go back to the website for that, is $61.38 compared to the $72.50 for the larger one. On Brownell's, they got the smaller knife for $42.99, and I think that's about what I paid in the store. And I believe I might have got this big one for about the same price. I feel like I didn't understand why the larger knife was the same price, so I got it anyway. As far as the retail that I was able to find it at. So it's got a 15-degree edge angle. It's drop point shape, hollow grind. The hardness is 57.59. And the blade thickness, at least on the smaller one, is 0.125. So aesthetic options, like I said, black, non-serrated, or full serrated, or combo. And then for some reason, my smaller one came with this flat dark earth sheath, which is pretty cool. I think they standardly come in black. I think the guy at the store might have, put the wrong sheaths in the wrong boxes when he was showing them off. So, which is nice because I usually wear khaki pants anyway, so it kind of helps blend into the brown of the pants if it's, is exposed underneath the jacket for whatever reason. So the claim to fame is K-Bar TDI law enforcement knives are effective for close quarters defense. Each one is designed to be easy to draw, sure when gripped, and ambidextrous. So TDI stands for Tactical Defense Institute. And so that's out of, Ohio? Defense Institute. So they have some books. Yeah, they're out of Ohio. So they do firearms and physical self-defense training. So it's kind of cool. They've got the TDI logo kind of right on the blade there. So the target market is going to be law enforcement, but also civilians, or just those that want to add a nice defensive blade to their EDC kit. I already went over the features and benefits as far as the specs goes, and the aesthetic options. What other people are saying, I got two Brownell's reviews that seem to be pretty good. One says, this is an excellent knife. It takes and holds a keen edge easily. The grip is easy to hang on, even in wet conditions. I find that kind of hard to believe, but the sheath mounts firmly to the belt in such a way that is nearly impossible to remove accidentally. And he's got to be talking about the smaller one's belt clip. And, it does have a what would seem like a little ledge of metal that goes underneath your belt. So that way, if you're drawing, there's going to be no chance of the sheath coming with the knife, because it's going to hang on to the lower end of the belt and kind of help free the knife from the sheath. He also said that it holds the knife or the edge firmly. He says that the sheath holds the knife firmly so that it will not fall out, but is easy to remove and replace when necessary. It also has a very attractive finish, which protects the blade from corrosion. And the other review says, great knife, sheath, and clip attaches securely on the inner belt, under duty belt, and stays put. Easy to draw and return to sheath. Grip is secure, and blade comes very sharp. The grip, blade, angle are very well thought out. I like this knife so much, I wear it off duty as my EDC. Great product. So like I said, the price point for the smaller guy, MSRP is $61.38, retail $42.99 at Brownells. We got the affiliate link there on the show notes, or actually on the review itself. If you need it now, Brownells, Amazon, or some other online stores, or possibly in local shops, just check out their bladed, or edged weapon section. Overall rating, I'm going to give it a 7.5 as good. It's easy to reverse the belt clip on the left or right hand side for carry. I did not have a Torx wrench small enough to get into these and reverse it, but it's so slim that what I've been doing, if I want to carry it on the left side, I honestly just slide the sheath itself in between the belt and my waistband and my pants, and I have the clip hanging on the outside. So that works too. The grip angle is very fast to draw on either hand, so that's a big benefit. The grip size on the smaller one, I've got, I guess you describe as average size hands, but I can get all 4 of my fingers on there, no problem. If you've got bigger mitts than I do, then your pinky might be sliding off the knife a little bit. So as far as cons go, the grip angle reduces leverage for any kind of linear cutting for more of a utility use. The Zytel grip texture is just too minimal for a good, adequate grip. I mean, it's not the most slick thing that I felt, but as my hands are, getting a little bit oily and sweaty, they very easily kind of slide around the material. It does have kind of, I guess, it's not really jimping, but 3 notches on the back of the grip that kind of act as some thumb jimping, so that's kind of nice. They have a lot more of them on the larger knife, so that's good. And there's a little bit, I think there's 2 notches on the back of the blade on the large one, and there's only 1 notch on the back of the blade on the small one that kind of continues that jimping all the way up the spine, or at least in that small spot right there. It's also got those same jimping notches on the bottom end too, on both of them. So I think if you really like the knife, the design of it, I would get out the wood burning tool and start to stipple a little bit. I think that would actually help a whole lot with the overall grip and the tackiness in your hand. So then the larger TDI knife, it comes with the Molly kind of clips, and I would like to have a belt clip for the larger knife, honestly, because I don't wear a lot of tactical gear. Like I said, I'm not like in SWAT, obviously, so it's a good idea if I ever had like a bug out bag that had some kind of like some kind of vest or carrier in there to mount this onto the carrier. But I just can't really, I've been playing around with it, I can't really find a position either on either of your left chest or right chest where it would be like ergonomic to pull this thing out. I guess the handle pointing to your strong hand side, pulling straight down. Yeah, that didn't feel good. Yeah, I think I stabbed myself a little bit. Can't edit that out. All good. So yeah, the another negative to the larger knife is that it's a little bit more difficult to get the blade out of it. With the smaller knife, I can hold it with my hand and kind of push on my thumb, and it'll, I can push the sheath right off with my thumb. Whereas the larger knife, I cannot do that with my thumb, just the strength alone. Well, I guess I did there, but it's a lot harder. So I don't know. I actually don't know if you could loosen these 2 screws on the left and right hand side. That would kind of help a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely a good strong fit. I mean, I can hold it upside down and shake it, and it's not coming out. It's got a really good lockup with the top of the grip there, but it's just a little bit harder, like when you're pulling down to draw. And like I just demonstrated to you on camera, like a pro, that if you have it mounted to your vest and you pull down, you run the risk of jabbing yourself in the chest. So I think definitely pulling up from the belt is a little bit safer because you're going to be pulling up and the blade is going to be like away from you. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I have to edit out the part where I scream like a little girl because I just pig stick myself. It ain't bleeding. It ain't bad. So yeah, 7.5. That's what I think about these. There's a lot of knives that have this angle on them out there on the market. A lot of neck knives or something like that. I think that this is pretty strong for a belt option, the smaller one. I carry it every day. It's one of the only knives that I haven't lost yet because it goes on my belt instead of in my pocket. When it's on my belt, I'm a lot more likely to keep it and not lose track of it in a different set of jeans or whatever. So I really like that ability. A lot of times if I'm not carrying or I can't carry my gun for whatever reason, I will have this smaller knife on me, which kind of gives me a little bit of at least one level of self-defense. So, any questions there?
No, I think covered it pretty well. Cool. Well, I guess I do have a question. How bad you bleeding?
I'm not gonna lie, I am bleeding a little bit, but it ain't bad.
That's okay. I chopped a nice little chunk of my finger off the other day, cutting some limes up.
Yeah.
Those limes are surprisingly tough.
Yeah. To quote Monty Python, "'Tis just a flesh wound."
There you go.
Yeah. All right, so there's my review. And the next up, we got the Tech Gadget app. This is the Laser Max Spartan Laser. So it's a red or green laser available from Laser Max. This is kind of a lot of Laser Max products are maybe a little bit more expensive, and these lasers came out in the hopes of reaching that lower end market as far as the people that are a little bit on a tighter budget and they can't afford to spend $200-$300 on a laser for their handgun. So with an MSRP of $99 for the red one or $149 for the green one, you'll be able to mount these onto any of your handguns that have an accessory rail. Even the Gammo C15 bone collector blowback era pellet pistol, you can put this on there. So what's so different about the Spartan series is this, it's got what they're calling a revolutionary mounting system that's easy to adapt and achieve ideal placement on the handgun accessory rail. It's got a dual electronic touchpad on either left or right hand side that are ample in size and have been elongated to ensure effortless activation with all different finger lengths and hand sizes. It does look like ideally it sits far enough back on the rail to where that those paddles are overlapping your trigger guard. At least on this picture they're showing of it mounted to, what are those? There's a Smith & Wesson M&P compact, and that looks like a Walter.
Yeah.
So yeah, they come back far enough to, yeah,
PPQ,
they
PPX.
overhang the trigger guard. So you're not having to reach past the trigger guard with your finger to activate the laser.
Yeah.
Another nice thing is that the lasers themselves have like 3 slots of rail underneath them. So if you wanted to put these on your gun and then mount another flashlight underneath them, you could do so. Have you ever seen that done? That wasn't an airsoft catalog.
Other than airsoft, cheaper than dirt, or that's about it. So it's kind of interesting. I guess it adds a little bit of utility, but I don't know whether it would be utilized too much, because I think if you're going to want a light and a laser, you probably go with a more compact 2-in-1 unit. But I guess it's neither here nor there that they offer it. I guess some people don't even like rails on guns, so it's something you don't have to use if you don't want to.
Yeah, that is true.
But I do like the compactness of this thing. It looks like it's even shorter than the Smith & Wesson compact, that's a pretty short barrel on there. What is it, like a 3.6 or so barrel? And it's shorter than that even. It's barely, but it is shorter. So it's not one of these units that's going to protrude kind of like a, Surefire X300 or something like that sticks out a foot past the end of the gun. So it's pretty nice. I mean, it is a laser, so it takes less real estate anyways, but I do like how compact it is. They don't show an angle of the attachment. I assume it's just like a single cross bolt.
Yeah. You could, in theory, get both the red and the green and mount them on top of each other and have a good old kind of Christmas color scheme going on with your laser. Or if you're just one guy against an opposing force of greater numbers, you could make them think there was more than one person on your team by having two lasers attached to your pistol.
There you go.
Yeah.
Force multiplier.
Yeah, exactly. Force multiplier.
Or perceived, at least. But anyways, yeah, I think it's pretty neat that it's an affordable option. I'm not sure Laser Max. I've heard not too much about them, so I'm curious about their longevity and do they quote a battery life on here? Because that's what I'm always curious about. I know with lasers is a little less of an issue than lights, but I'm always curious when it comes to electronic things what the battery life is. It doesn't seem to.
I don't see. It does say that it deactivates after 10 minutes to prevent power drain. So I'm sure that factors into overall battery life. You'd hate for it to automatically shut off when you're still using it, though. So it's too bad that there's not some kind of gyroscopic sensor to make sure that it's not sitting in a case and not being used with the laser on. But if you're actually shooting, if you've got a 15-minute firefight, 10 minutes in, your laser is going to go out. But who's really operating a laser full time anyway?
Yeah. Another
Go ahead.
feature, it has this user programmable for either a steady or a high visibility pulse beam, which is kind of like a strobe. And I know that usually saves some battery life if you're concerned about it. It is a little curious that they don't specify any kind of battery life. I would like to see that.
Cool. Yeah, and then the user programmability for a steady or a very high visibility pulsed beam. So I guess somewhat of a strobe, but I think that when you have a laser with a strobe option, because I used to have a Viridian that I loved and I can't believe I got rid of it. It had 3 different options: steady, and then like a slower pulse, and then a much higher pulse. So, unless you're blinking really fast, it looks almost like it's a constant on, but it saves your battery life tremendously.
Yeah. From stats I've seen on other, I think maybe the Viridian I was looking at, it almost doubles the battery life for basically nothing, because like you said, you almost can't tell. A friend of mine's got a Viridian green laser, and the pulse is so minor that you can barely even tell. It's kind of like if you blink really fast, you can kind of see, it's like a really high frames per second, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there you go. Put it in video game terms. Yeah, I love that Viridian. I really miss it. But obviously that I can tell you, relating it back to this Laser Max, so we don't completely leave them in the dust. But the Viridian cost a lot of money. I think it was like $280, maybe. Oh, yeah. I think it was close. Yeah. So we're talking, you can get a green one that should essentially do the same function and not be as bulky, because it made my Springfield XD almost look like a Silencer Co. Maxim 9, because it was just the whole shape, so it elongated what looked like the whole barrel. So if you can get it for $150, I mean, that's like half price, and it does have their 5-year limited warranty. I know buying lasers, especially lasers that are supposed to be more budget, you're always worried about reliability. What if it goes out? Seems like it happens a lot. So that you're at least covered for 5 years with that limited warranty. So that's always good.
Yeah, now just kind of looking at the Can you hear me, Ryan?
Beep. Still here. You there? Hello? I can hear you. At least I did. You must have bumped a setting. So while we're waiting for him, I'm sure he'll hop back on here as soon as he gets that figured out. But the website for that is lasermax.com. And I do not see if they have the Spartan uploaded onto their product pages yet.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, there you are.
Sorry about that. I dropped out. I do see it. I mean, if you click on the press release, at least it sends you to the product page. So it's got to be somewhere. I'd imagine somewhere in the in their catalog. Rail-mounted lasers. But anyways, what I was saying before I got kicked off, I was looking at the kind of comparable Viridian, and it's $279, and it's also a little larger body, so it does offer that over the Viridian.
Okay.
So it's about twice the price and twice the size, honestly. The length's about the same, but the width and the height are definitely very different. And that's the Viridian C5 I'm comparing it to.
Yeah. So now that we does have a product page, these are available October 15th, but you can pre-order them now. I'm still looking for see, it uses compatible batteries. What's that battery?
Looks like one of those weird kind of button battery stacks like this.
Yeah, it's a lithium LMS-13N lithium battery. They got it for $5.45. That is an expensive little battery.
Yeah,
but it's got a wide range of temperature operation, and it has a 10-year shelf life. So I guess, buy once and you're not going to have to worry about it for a while.
Yeah, I think that 1/3 N, that 1/3 N is how they call it. I'm not sure the proper way to say that, but that's how it's written. I think it's a fairly common battery, so you ought to be able to probably find it on Amazon for less than $6 a piece.
Very cool.
Let me do a quick little search real quick. Let's see. Amazon CR 1/3N. It has. Stop being slow. Well, you can buy a 2-pack or a 4-pack from Viridian for $7 on Amazon. Duracell's always kind of expensive, but you can get so $4 to $6, depending on where you get them. You get a 10-pack for $26. So just kind of look around, fine. But so it's not terribly expensive when you think of CR123s are basically $1.50 a piece, maybe $1.20, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then it's a laser. It uses a whole lot less
power
juice than a light. So I imagine it probably has a pretty good output time. Of course, like I said earlier, I wish they would have quoted it, but
yeah. Now, if you're kind of debating red or green, green has much better visibility as far as you can see the green dot much farther out. The trade-off is that for some reason it seems like green lasers don't operate as well in colder temperatures. I know with my Viridian, in the winter months, even with fresh batteries, the laser got a lot more dimmer when it was below freezing, whereas red lasers, I think, aren't as temperature sensitive. Is that right? Have you heard the same thing?
What did you say? The red is less temperature sensitive?
Yeah, because I know that I thought green ones.
See, I thought it was the other way around, but I'm not entirely sure. I know green uses more battery, but as far as the temperature, I don't know. I always thought it was the other way around, so I guess leave it to.
Yeah, I know that green on the spectrum you can see green a lot farther than you can see red.
Yeah, you can see it farther, and then even during the day, green is a whole heck of a lot more visible than red.
Right.
Because you can point a red laser at a wall 5 feet in front of you in broad daylight, and you probably can't see it. But the green laser is so so bright and easy to pick up on.
Yeah. Now, when blue lasers start coming out, that'll be cool.
Just burn your targets.
Exactly. Awesome. So the website, we got the link for that in the show notes. If you guys want to pre-order that, we'll provide the links for that pre-order as well. So we already went over the listener feedback. Tony's not here to discuss the second Is for Everyone diversity shoot in New Jersey. It looks like he did have that New Jersey, was it gun rights policy conference? There's some. Yeah, was it SafetyCon?
New Jersey SafeCon is the name of it.
SafeCon, that's what it was. Yeah, there was some pictures of him in a nice snazzy suit.
Yeah, Tony was looking nice. On the red carpet up there. It looked like a real deal celebrity.
That's right. So, with all that said, that's the end of this show. So, stay tuned for the next week. 104 will be a different format and a little bit more interesting to read. I can't promise anyone will stab themselves on air again, but I think it'll be pretty interesting nonetheless. As far as all of us talking about our different choices for end of the world, you can only have two things type of topic, so that'll be fun. So in conclusion, send questions or comments to podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or cross@firearmsradio.tv. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. So thanks for joining me, TJ. Always a pleasure. Yeah,
it was a good time as usual. Yep. Got to see some cool new stuff. Got to see you stab yourself on the air.
Sorry, I bleed for you guys. Awesome. So have a good week, everybody. Shoot safe. Carry your knives safely. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yep. See everybody around.
Yep. Bye.